some of the stuff is like really dumb, but I want it to be in this video because I want to look back on this kind of like a vlog memory that I can cherish. So the next week comes around and I rode with him up into the mountains to show him because my family always stays in the same place. We're very big on camping. And we went out there and I introduced him to my parents and my grandparents and my aunts and my cousins. And I was like, this is my friend who's staying with us for a couple days. And they were just like, okay, it's your friend. And I was like, it really is just my friend. And no, it was really fun. We went on the four-wheelers a lot and hiking and everything. And it was a really good bonding experience, I guess, because at the beginning of that camping trip, I wasn't particularly attached to him. We hadn't formed like a relationship yet. And so I thought, you know, if he can survive 4 days in the mountains with my father and the rest of my family, then I'll consider having a relationship with him. And it turns out him and my dad are best friends. They get along amazingly well, which kind of bothers me at the same time. But, and my little brothers just love him. They took him out, they asked him to go shooting with them. They had these little airsoft guns. And so they gave him one, and my little brother, who's like 5 at the time, he gives Michael a gun. He says, you're on my team. So they were sneaking around through the bushes chasing my cousin and my other brother, who was on the opposite team. And it had been about 20 minutes and they hadn't seen them yet, nothing had happened. So my 5-year-old brother turned around and shot Michael in the face with his airsoft gun. And he goes, why would you do that? That hurt so bad. He like shot him right here in the eye. And my little brother goes, I was bored. I didn't get to shoot anybody for a while. And I just thought it was hilarious. That was the end of that game. He brought him back to the camp thing. But I thought it was hilarious. I was like, well, if you didn't smack him, then that says something about you. Because I would have smacked him. If a kid shot me in the face, yeah, that wouldn't have ended well. And then the weather ended up being really terrible that week. So 2 out of the 4 days we were up there, it rained and it stormed and we were stuck in the camper. So he spent probably a good 20 some odd hours just playing card games with me and my family. And I said, I'm sorry, this is so boring. This turned into like the worst trip ever. And he goes, no, I really like it. I really like your family. I was like, oh, I did that so much when we were dating. He was just really sweet. And then the day that the sun came out again, him and I took the four-wheelers and we rode out into the woods. We were gone for probably a good 45 minutes. And we just went on our own little four-wheeler ride. And we chased some cows with the four-wheelers and stuff that were out there in the mountains. And I just remember my favorite thing about this trip was he was going really fast down this trail and I was like, no, you need to slow down, I'm scared. And he hit a cow pie and it came up and it just covered me, but it was only my arm, so it wasn't on my clothes, but I was just covered in cow shit. And I was like, stop, stop, stop. So he stops for a little and I'm like trying to wipe it off on the tree. I was like, this is disgusting. And so he has 2 shirts on. He takes one of his shirts off and he just like wipes the cow shit off me. And we were just both sitting there laughing to tears that this just happened. Then we just sat in the woods and we just laughed until it got quiet. And I was like, this is something else. And then when we got back to the campsite, he took his shirt that he had wiped the cow shit on and he threw it in the fire. And I said, Michael, that is not how you do laundry. And we all thought that it was hilarious. In the mountains, the 4th of July fireworks go on in the city on the 4th of July. And then they do the Independence Day fireworks on the 5th of July over the lake in the mountains, you know, so people still come up the second day. So we all went on the 5th of July, and that's how I remember what date it is, and me and him took this big blanket out, and we laid it out, and we were laying down, and we were watching the fireworks. And the fireworks show goes, and I'm shivering, I'm cold, and he like snuggles up to me, and I was just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, he's gonna kiss me. And then I like got really nervous about it, but he didn't, and I was just like, okay, why didn't he kiss me? Maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he decided on this camping trip that he's not interested. So that night we stayed up with my cousins and everybody, and we were talking around the fire and just hanging out. And then come about midnight or so on the 5th, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed. So I walked him back to his truck, which he was sleeping in, because my parents obviously weren't gonna let him sleep in the camper with us. And he kissed me. I don't even remember what happened, but he kissed me goodnight, and that was our first ever kiss, was on the 5th of July. So it wasn't during the fireworks, but it was still memorable. And then I walked back to the camper, and I remember saying, damn it, I fell in love with him. And then I just remember at that moment, I was just like, it happened. You fell in love with him, and now you're gonna get your heart broke, because that's how it always goes. So our relationship went really, really fast. But the next week after we got home from camping with my family, he bought me this necklace. And I thought that was really sweet. And I wore it every single day, everywhere I went. And all my friends started calling it my collar. Like, this was him saying that I belonged to him, and I never took it off. And I actually looked this up on the internet on how much this necklace cost, and it was way more than I thought that it would. Like, if you're not officially dating someone, I think like $30, $40 on jewelry is a lot. But no, I won't tell you how much this was, but it was over $200. And so I was like, wow, that's weird. And I don't like it when guys buy me presents, because then I feel obligated to, I don't know. I don't like that feeling of being in debt, or like, I don't know. It's a weird thing that I have. So I don't really like gifts, but I was grateful, and I wore it all the time, and all my friends gave me crap about it. The week after that, I had a dog come into my work, because I work with animals, and the owner was either going to get rid of it, or they were going to euthanize it. They could not have this dog anymore because it bit their daughter, and he was the sweetest dog. And so I volunteered to take care of him for maybe a week or so, until the new owners came to adopt him. And then come day 3, I was super attached to this dog, and I did not want him to get adopted out to somebody else, but my dad was adamant that I was not allowed to have another dog. I remember telling Michael about it, and I was like, I'm so sad that this dog has to go, and I just can't take care of it. My dad won't let me have it. And he said, we'll bring it to my house for a couple of days. You know, just hide it at my house so he doesn't know, so that the other people won't adopt it. So I was like, well, are you allowed to have dogs in your apartments? And he's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. And so I took the dog there, and he told me that I could pick it up, because I took the dog to work with me a bit. He said I could pick it up when I went to work. So I left the dog there for 2 days. I went to his apartment when he wasn't there to pick up the dog, and he was sitting on the couch. He had left the TV on. The dog was sitting on the couch on this little like handmade dog bed with food and water sitting on the couch next to it, and the dog was just sitting there watching TV. I was just like, he's never had a dog before, has he? I ended up adopting the dog with Michael's help. He's kind of our dog. We got a dog. You know how people in a relationship, they're like, oh, let's get a dog together. We accidentally got a dog together about the middle of July, and we still have that dog. He's pretty cool. So the next month in August, Michael had to go out of town. He was going to the city, which was about 3 hours from our hometown, and he wanted me to go with him, and we could go to the mall and we could go shopping, but it was kind of a road trip for us. And you find that you have a lot of really deep conversations when you're stuck in the car with someone for a really long time. And we just hung out all that time. We went to the mall. He bought me some perfume. I still have that perfume 3 years later. And then we went back to my cousin's house, and we stayed up probably till 1 o'clock in the morning outside around the fire pit, just hanging out and talking. And it came up, he asked me if we were dating, if it was kind of a determine the relationship moment, and he asked me if I wanted to be his girlfriend. And I was thinking the flowers, the necklace, the spending every single moment together, getting a dog, you know. And I looked at him and I said, I kind of thought I already was. And he just laughed. He was like, good, because I thought so too. but we never really determined the relationship. But way back at the end of July, so about 3 weeks before this conversation, I had changed my Facebook relationship status to say that I was in a relationship, but I had changed the privacy settings so that he could not see that it said that I was in a relationship, so that he wouldn't think that was weird if he didn't think that I was, but I felt like I was. So it was just like this really funny moment, because for a month and a half now, I had thought that we were in this relationship, and he had too, but when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I was like, aren't I already your girlfriend? So August, we just hung out. We made a couple more trips to the city. We went and saw his family. I met his family for the first time. His sister and her husband and her 3 children were there. I was like, okay, kind of bracing myself. And then his family showed up. And it was his mom and his dad and 3 of his brothers and 2 of his sisters. He is one of 10 children. And I met his other sisters, or his other sister and his 2 other brothers later on. And there was just so much going on that the whole time, I don't even like remember so much of it, but I just remember like they all introduced themselves to me really formally, like, hi, I'm so-and-so and I'm so-and-so. I just am very overwhelmed at the moment. And I was just like, hi, trying to talk to them, and they were asking me questions like, do I go to church? Do I have a big family? And I want to answer all these questions like as most approved as possible. But they're a really great family. They're super nice. And I'm very lucky that I get along with all of my in-laws. But it was a lot at first. And we had another church activity because they did them every single week. And there was this big bonfire going on after work. So I was like, no, we have to go. I'm super excited about going. And he was like, okay, I'll pick you up after work. And I said, okay. I had my sister bring my clothes into work, and so then I went to his house and I went to change and kind of get some of the dog hair off. And when I came out of the bathroom, he was standing in the kitchen and he was like being really weird. And I was like, are you okay? And how did this go? He looked at me really, really seriously and he said, do you love me? And I said, of course I do. And then he kissed me, and then like I stepped back and he had the ring box and he opened it up and he handed it to me and he said, will you love me forever? I was like, of course. And then we tried on the ring and it fit, but it was like the most special little moment ever. It wasn't something that you would think would happen, like your engagement would end up in the kitchen of an apartment and it would be something like that. But it was just very special and very intimate, and I just remember like he was shaking and I was like, why are you shaking? He goes, I was afraid you were gonna say no. I asked him, I said, did you ask my family? Did you talk to my dad? And he said, yeah. And I said, what did my dad say? And he said, the first thing that he said is, are you sure? Because it's very fast. I mean, we met in June, we're dating technically in August, engaged in September, you know, it was just crazy. And Michael's like, I've never been more sure of anything. I want to marry your daughter. And then my dad, being the person that he is, said, she has to clean her room first. And Michael said, I'll clean it for her. I will do that. So I was not happy with my dad for making that iconic moment a joke. But at the same time, it's a good story to look back on. And you know, if a man's willing to clean for you, that he really wants to marry you, I guess.